Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the-kyle-chronicles, and I really like to read. It's not something I talk about too much on this channel, but I read about 1 to 3 books every 2 weeks or so. It depends on how big the book is, obviously, and how into the book I am, but yeah, I really love reading. And because I like reading, I've read quite a lot of books that deal with LGBT topics, and I figured, since they're kind of hard to find, at least where I am, most bookstores in and around my town don't even have like an LGBT section. They might have like a bookshelf, just one shelf. So I've compiled a list of all the LGBT-centered books I have read or am currently reading. And I've just summarized in very short point form what topics these books touch on. And yeah, I'm gonna share all that information with you. This video will be separated, one video, but I'll talk about all the fiction books I've read and own, and then all the non-fiction books. I'll make sure to leave timestamps in the description in case you're only interested in the fiction or only interested in the non-fiction. Totally up to you. I'll also include the titles and the authors of every book I mention in the description as well, so you guys can more easily look them up and maybe buy it. So yeah, I will get right into it. Alright, so we will start with the fiction books. There are a few authors where their names are repeated because they just happen to write more on LGBT topics, which is great. So the first book is Keeping You a Secret by Julie Ann Peters. It touches on lesbian and homophobic aspects. The main character, I believe, is discovering she's lesbian because she has a crush on a girl. It might touch on bisexuality. I can't really remember. I read this book quite a long time ago. Second is None of the Above by Gregorio, and it deals with intersex, which is pretty cool because I don't see a lot of books that touch on that aspect of things. It also deals with talk about sex, so it's up to you if you want to read a book like that. 3 is called Symptoms of Being Human. It deals with gender fluidity and coming out. The main character, I believe their name is Riley, and they are themselves gender fluid, so. Next book is called Freakboy by Kristin Elizabeth Clark. It deals with a trans woman, somebody trying to figure out their gender identity, and also homophobic and transphobic things do happen in the book. I don't believe there's any violent acts, like, you know, physical assault or anything, but I can't be 100% sure because it, again, has been a while, so just be careful. Next is The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. That deals with both a trans woman and a trans man, and also coming out and coming to terms with your gender, and again, there might be some homophobia and transphobia in the book, but I don't believe any violent acts. Next is Simon versus the Homosapien Agenda by Becky Albertalli, which you might have heard that because it's now a movie called Love, Simon. It's based on the book, so if you've seen the movie, I still suggest reading the book. I haven't seen the movie, but the book was amazing. Obviously, it deals with a gay teenager coming out and, you know, trying to figure out how to do all that while still in high school. The next one is History Is All You Left Me by Silvera, amazing author. This one deals with, again, gay and also death and grief over an ex-boyfriend and a current boyfriend passing away. The next one is More Happy Than Not, once again by Silvera. It deals with gay coming to terms with your sexuality, violent acts of homophobia, suicide, I think suicide attempts, and talking about his father's suicide, so, you know, if any of that is triggering to you guys, you can skip the book, it's fine. And finally, the last book on the fiction list is What If It's Us by Silvera and Becky Albertalli. This deals with gay, and I believe one of the side characters is, they're not cis, I can't remember, and they're not straight, but again, I can't remember the exact sexuality. I believe one of the main characters might be bisexual. although I can't be sure. I know for a fact one of them is completely gay. That also deals with coming out and, you know, friendships, long-distance relationships, and stuff like that. And those are all the fiction books I've read. There may be more, and if there is, please suggest them. But now I'll move on to nonfiction. So, the first book is called The Full Spectrum by David Levithan and Billy Marrell. I really hope I'm pronouncing all the authors' names right. This deals with the entire LGBT community, those questioning, and it's multiple essays compiled into one book, talking about coming out, faith and spirituality, religion, dealing with family members, friendships, etc. So it's very cool to read because there are so many differing opinions on all these topics that these people have experienced. So it's by the authors, but they more assembled the book and like edited parts. They didn't write the essays themselves. And that's kind of a common theme throughout the non-fiction books I'm going to tell you guys about. Next one, I couldn't figure out if it was fiction or not, because the way the Wikipedia page is, and like all the information I could find, it makes it sound like it's non-fiction, but I could be wrong. And it's Blue is the Warmest Color by Julie Maroh. It was originally a French book. That was translated to English, and I believe there's a bunch of translations of it now. It is a graphic novel, there we go, and it deals with lesbian, gay, and there is homophobia in it, I believe violent homophobia, and it also deals with addiction. Next is Some Assembly Required by Arin Andrews. This is a autobiography, I believe is what they're called, and it deals with Arin, who is a trans male, him going through gender reassignment surgery and hormone therapy, and it also touches on some transphobia he faced. Next is Beyond Magenta, Transgender Teens Speak Out. It deals with those who are transgender and gender non-conforming, coming out, how they deal with it, and I believe this one has photos that accompany each story of the teen themselves, who are featured in the story, obviously. It was a very good read, and I liked having the photographs to kind of like put a face to the stories. Next is Out Proud, edited by Douglas Gosse. Again, these are a bunch of essays compiled together that he just edited and put together in a book. This deals with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer/questioning, intersex, asexual and allies, and the Two-Spirit community. Two-Spirit, in case you aren't aware, is a Native American specific identity. It is Canadian, which is pretty cool, and it also, within those identities, it touches on the social justice aspects of what they all experience. Next is called This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson, and it is a more comedic book, but it is still non-fiction. It touches on aspects of, for the whole community, LGBTQIA+, coming out, sex, talking to your parents about it, talking to your friends about it, how to become involved in a community, and it does have some funny pictures in it, and it is written in more like a tone of how you talk to your friend and give them advice, but it is a very good book. I really enjoyed it, and for those of you who may be younger members in the community, I would say it's a very good read. And finally, this is the only book I have not finished yet. I'm still reading it. It is called Transgender History, The Roots of Today's Revolution, and it is by Susan Stryker. So obviously, it's about the trans community. It also, I believe, touches on some non-binary aspects. It deals with sexuality, homophobia, transphobia, the AIDS crisis, and basically it documents everything from the beginning of time to now, and how every stage in life has influenced trans issues and everything. She does define some things a bit more conservatively than they are thought of now, such as transgender. The definition she gives isn't exactly how we define it now, but it's still a good read. Just obviously take that with a grain of salt and realize, like, when it was published, that those may not have been the definitions that we use now. And yeah, those are all the books dealing with the LGBT community I've read. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and partially because with the nonfiction stuff, I like learning more about the history aspect of this community and what we've been through, and, you know, the differing experiences we have depending on our race, on our economic status, on, you know, where we live, how accepting our family and friends may be. It's very interesting to me to see the wide variety that exists in the community. And then with the fiction books, it's nice because it makes me connect to the characters just a little bit more, because I can understand some of the struggles they go through when they're faced with problems of gender or sexuality and coming out and dealing with, you know, homophobia or transphobia. And I think it's very important to have characters that aren't straight or cis in every single book. Like, not every book has to be about a gay character, but it's nice to have them incorporated into regular stories just to help normalize it, and so the youth of the LGBT community can read things and, you know, feel a stronger connection with these characters. And with the nonfiction, they can learn more about how we came to have pride parades, and, you know, how we barely survived the AIDS crisis, and, you know, how all these things came to be. I think it's very important, and once my youngest sisters are old enough, I hope they might read some of these books and learn more, whether they come out or not. Like, if they're straight, cool, but it's nice to share this history with them. And when I read these books, I would always talk to my mom and my dad about them, because, again, it's important that people learn about it. For the nonfiction aspect and for the fiction aspect, it's nice. It's nice to have characters that I can more strongly relate to. So I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Again, every book I mentioned will be in the description. Timestamps for the fiction and nonfiction parts will be in the description. If you guys have read any books that center on LGBT characters or issues, let me know. Write them, comment them, because I'm always looking for more books to read. Excuse me. And it might help somebody else out if they're looking for other books to read, if they're like me and they've read most of these books. So, yeah, I really enjoyed filming this video for you guys, and I hope you share this around and help spread, you know, some of this information, and I will see you next week. Bye.